everyone pretty much says high fructose corn syrup is really bad, and
Sure.
any sugars, processed sugar is bad. But the common belief is if the sugar's in the fruit, then it's
Mhm.
completely fine because it's connected to the fibers and all the other things. So it's great. So
100%.
it's the common belief. But for some reason, Brian Clement, who runs Hippocrates Health Institute, says he found different. And a lot of the people on the carnivore wagon are saying this too. They're claiming that there's no difference if it's fructose in fruit or out of fruit. Uh, what's your opinion about this from your experience?
Yeah, when you look at the data, what does the data say? The data says that when you consume whole fruits, it is absolutely healthy for you, right? So I don't know what they're thinking fruit's going to do to you. What do they think? It's going to cause fatty liver or diabetes? There's zero evidence that that's the way that's going to happen. You eat people eat whole raw fruits or vegetables, but when you're talking about the fruits, I mean, I had people who reverse diabetes, type 2 diabetes, eating a lot of fruit because they miss sweets, right? So we pack them in full of fruits. Now we may do the lower glycemic fruits because we don't want their blood sugars bumping, but they'll absolutely do that. We'll see fatty liver resolve. We'll see people lose weight. So just in my own anecdotal medical practice, fruit is only beneficial. And again, you want to eat a wide variety of fruits and colors, just like anything else, but that's also in looking at an overall healthy plant-based diet. And so, in what I'm typically encouraging patients to embrace is fruits, vegetables, beans, whole grains, nuts, and seeds.
And
Eat lots of colors
when
and lots of different varieties.
when you say the low glycemic fruits, like so the non-low glycemic fruits will, even though it's attached to the fiber and everything else, can affect the blood sugar?
Well, yeah. So depending on the person, right? So let's say that, for example, I've worn a CGM, which is a continuous glucose monitor for 24/7. You wear, tells your blood sugar what it does. I've never had an issue with my blood sugar, right? I'm very insulin sensitive. I'm always been a healthy weight. A1C is always super low. So when I will eat something that is, let's say a super ripe banana, you might see it go up to like 120, right? But if I eat a more less ripe banana, it might budge maybe barely to like 100, right? So again, that sugar content will absolutely cause a fluctuation in blood sugar, which is normal, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the fluctuation of your blood sugars. Um, the piece of the puzzle here is that I am dealing with people who are dealing with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes or very insulin resistant. We don't want those blood sugars to go up because that higher insulin, that unhealthy rise in insulin, well above, blood sugars might hit 200, right? But these people don't have the normal functioning system that someone who doesn't have diabetes does. So if I eat a banana or eat a any raw fruit that's maybe a higher glycemic fruit, my body does it fine. It just fluctuates a little higher, but that's just the normal response, right? This isn't anything to be worried about. That's what your body does. Um, but the piece here that I work with my patients is I encourage the lower glycemic foods as we're dealing with insulin resistance. And as they become more insulin sensitive, we will start bringing more of those foods back. That the piece of the puzzle here that we have to balance is by the time someone is actually diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, they've lost about half of the capacity of their beta cells in their pancreas to produce insulin, right? So type 2 diabetes not only makes you insulin resistant, but it kills off your pancreas's ability to make insulin, right? So that's another piece here that we need to understand. So everyone's on a different, like it's a very different. My body's gonna be different from another, 53-year-old woman with even the same weight, height, right? Because genetics and lifestyle and muscle mass and activity levels, stress, sleep, medications, all those things matter. And so the data is really, really clear that when you look at someone who is insulin sensitive, fruit is not going to make you sick, right? Unless something else is going on. Now, I'd absolutely prefer my patients to eat fruit versus some, hyper ultra processed food that doesn't cause the blood sugar to go up. I'd much rather have them have fruit, but then we'd mix it with some vegetables and some beans that keep it low, right? Because when you mix those foods in with vegetables and fruits, it's almost like it slows it down, that absorption, right? And so that will certainly help. So we do a lot of that, right? I have patients who for example, my smoothie. I have smoothie every single morning for years. And when I do the smoothie, my blood sugar goes like this. Like it does nothing. But in my smoothie, it's 75% green leafy vegetables, broccoli, cabbage, all sorts. But then the other part is all fruit. It's pineapple, it's blueberries, cherries, you name it, mango, but it does nothing. It's
So
flatline.
if
But again, it's the vegetables.
if somebody's healthy, they don't have diabetes or anything, do you think it's possible on the non-low glycemic fruits, like the high ones, like let's say mangoes, for example? Do you think it's possible somebody can overeat on them where they can create a problem?
Well, I mean, are they mean that they're only exclusively eating mangoes?
Well, let's say, whether it's mangoes or watermelon or some. I mean, watermelon has a lot more water in it, but even bananas, this is like this
Sure.
old website, like 30
So
bananas a day. So these people are eating like massive amounts, and a lot of them doing the exercise to deal with it. But still, do you think somebody can get themselves in trouble by? Would you consider that overdoing it,
I
or would
think
you think
anybody,
that's fine?
yeah. So remember, this is where we get into these really crazy extremes, right? So if you're eating an exclusively a banana diet, it'd be like an exclusive pork diet. So you're literally going to be missing out on so many nutrients. And of course, you're going to potentially get yourself in trouble, but not even from the sense of the blood sugar so much is like, what are the nutrients that you're missing? Right. So this is going to be lacking in protein. It's going to be lacking in a lot of very important nutrients. Bananas can be a part of it. I mean, I have an entire stack of bananas right here. I eat a banana a day, but that's not the only thing I eat. Right. So you can eat bananas, but they shouldn't be your exclusive food. Now, what's interesting about humans, we can eat very limited diet for periods of time and survive. That is the way we are made, right? So, but it doesn't mean that's the best diet for you on the long-term health, right? So at the end of the day, what should we be consuming for longevity and decreasing our risk for chronic disease is a whole food plant-based diet with a wide variety of colors and a wide variety of different types, right? So that's the piece here that's so important. Be it raw, but you can still have whole grains, certain whole grains. You're soaking, you're doing your different things and creating them and making them. You can do sprouted beans and different things, lentils, whatever. You can still get the four categories, fruits, veggies, beans, whole grains, and the nuts and seeds. But the piece here is that people take in, they get, I don't know, they get so far down the extreme. Like just eating 30 bananas a day, yeah, that's going to be a problem. Just like eating just meat all day, every day is a problem.
Well, I mean, a lot of people that are switching over to the carnivore diet, they feel all these great benefits. We know there's short-term benefits and looking for problems
Right.
later
These
on.
are definitely short term.
But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
but the but
So
the delusional fact is that they're feeling better, whether it's stimulation or because they're leaving stuff out, it creates in their mind like, hey, this is working, and it's a really deceiving factor.
So remember, the individuals who start embracing these really severe restricted type diets, sometimes it's because they walk away from the standard America ultra processed junk diet, right? So just removing that stuff is going to make you feel better. So, but then they equate it to just eating this particular way, right? Just a carnivore diet or just banana diet or whatever you want to call it. This very extreme type diet. But over time, that you're going to get the decreased inflammation, you're going to see removing of all that processed sugars and all that's going to make a big difference for you. But 2, 3, 4 months later down the road, then things start showing up because now the body's like, hey, this is not working for me because you're not embracing a full variety. The important thing is we got gut microbiome to contend with. You're, I'm sure, very good at gut microbiome and gut health. um, excuse me. But again, there's so much here that each individual is so very different. And that's why this conversation really needs to be personalized. But from the standpoint of what is my foundational diet recommendation is that whole food plant-based diet.